Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Godspeed TV. I am your host, Riley Roseby, your guide in this AI-enabled paradigm shift. I have some more show and tell. If you've been in the program for a while, you've known I like to bring bells because this is after the closing bell. I have another bell, but once again, our producer Gene says you guys can't hear this, which is quite a shame. It's kind of loud, ear piercing for me. But shout out to these microphones for not picking it up. Folks, it has been a choppy, wild market, and not even market, but just like world of events. So we're not going to get into the political macro stuff because we have some more exciting news, right? Innovation doesn't stop because of politics. Innovators are going to continue to innovate. They don't care if they're getting paid, if they're not getting paid. They just want to do their dang thing. So let's take a look. Archer acquires the Hawthorne Airport in Los Angeles. Now, this is a pretty strategic move, right? Because Archer is the official eVTOL partner of the LA 2028 Olympics. So giving them a nice hub in downtown Los Angeles is a very strategic move with the Olympics on the horizon. I mean, it sounds like a long ways away, but 3 years, I mean, that is going to be here before we know it. And without any sort of clarity as to when FAA's type certification will come together, I mean, this could be like a grand opening type thing, the Olympics for Archer. So let's take a quick look at the press release. This was from their earnings report, is when they announced this $126 million cash purchase of the Hawthorne Airport. And as you could see, the company is toting a lot of other key highlights from the quarter. It wasn't rewarded. The stock gap down. It's been a hot mess. We'll get to some charts in a little bit, but I want us to move on, stick to the narrative, because kind of when the price is doing these funky things, I think it's important to go back and see what the innovators are doing. And the innovators keep innovating, right? Waymo is adding highways, freeways, whatever word you prefer. But this is huge. I rode in a Waymo from Phoenix to North Phoenix, trying to get home to Sedona. I was trying to kind of keep the distance to a minimum with my sister coming and picking me up. And I got to say, it was a horrible experience to not jump on the freeways. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'll have to run down to Phoenix, give it another shot, see if we can jump on the 101, see how it handles. And this is really exciting, right? Because this isn't just Phoenix. This is going to be San Francisco and Los Angeles. And folks, autonomy is here. It's early. It is so stinking early, but autonomy is here. And if you've been reading my work, you know I'm really leaning into the aviation side of things. And autonomy is the first step in the aerial economy. So one other comment I have about Waymo, and I probably should have touched on this after I rode the Waymo from Phoenix. Waymo is a classic Google product. And what do I mean by that? It works. It has its utility. It serves its purpose. There's a little bit of magic to it because you're riding in a car without a driver. But it's not an iPhone. And it's not an iPhone moment. And it's not an iPhone experience. And knock on wood, Tesla delivers, right? Just completely blows our mind with its robotaxi offering. But I just had to say it. Waymo is a classic Google product. It works. But is it what we want? Is it what we prefer? Is it what we desire? I don't think so. I don't think so. Up next, Rocket Lab delays its Neutron rocket to 2026. Now, this rocket is supposed to rival the SpaceX's Falcon 9, being a medium lift reusable rocket. And they've been kicking the can down the road. Now, there's nothing wrong with this because the company cited internal quality testing, which is highly important, right? We're talking about rockets that cost millions of dollars for every single launch. They want to make sure they get it right. The one thing we should note is when I was doing my research for today's show, I saw an article talking about how Rocket Lab delayed the Neutron to 2024. So we're going back a few years, and we've seen this pattern before. We'll see if this continues. Rocket Lab kind of slid on earnings, but again, the innovators will continue to innovate. Do we really think Rocket Lab is just going to close up shop because they got to delay their rocket? Absolutely not. They're going to keep on building. Up next, Anthropic drops 50 billion to build data centers. They're going to start in Texas and in New York. But we have been talking about the capital expenditures from AI into infrastructure within America, and it's absolutely absurd, right? This is another $50 billion from Anthropic, the parent company to Claude, and Texas. I think that is an area to watch, right? SpaceX is down there, Tesla is down there, everybody's going to Texas. I saw another headline that Coinbase is going to be reincorporating. That's the word I'm looking for. Reincorporating in the state of Texas, moving from Delaware. So these are trends to watch. I think this is going to shape how companies are built, how people move, where the hot spots in tech and innovation are. And if you're like me and you want to find where the cutting edge innovation is, you guys, it's not about what TechCrunch is producing or publishing. You got to follow the people that are innovating. If the people are moving around, you got to keep an eye on them. Apple, I have no words for y'all. I have no idea what you guys are doing. I have no idea what you're building with AI, but they just dropped a iPhone Pocket. So in case you're wondering how innovation is coming over at Apple, they're in the fashion game. And we've known this, right? They had their collab with Hermes on the Apple Watch. I'm disappointed. I know Steve is rolling in his grave. RIP Steve, but I will not be purchasing an iPhone Pocket, an iPhone purse, whatever we want to call it. I do want to give you all an update on my minimal phone. If you remember, probably about a month ago, I told y'all that I ordered a minimal phone. I got confirmation today that it's on its way. It's coming from Hong Kong. So I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe it'll take a couple weeks. With the government shutdown, maybe it'll never come. Who freaking knows? But I'm excited, and I will certainly share my findings with you guys when the time comes. So we talked at the top of the program about the market being kind of a mess. And I want us to take a look at a few charts, just a few, to kind of, go through this. So Tesla, obviously, one of my largest focuses at this point is this consolidation here between what? 480, 410. This just absolutely large range that we keep getting whipsawed back and forth into. Well, we're seeing buyers slowly step up. You can see kind of these series of higher lows, squeak into higher highs, but it's nothing, no confirmation yet. Up next is Palantir. And last week, if you guys joined us, we talked with Brett Conrad about Palantir's impressive earnings report. Once again, smashing records. And the stock didn't get rewarded. It's been trading sideways since early August. Not a lot of action to show for it there. Arc Innovation, a great heuristic to just kind of see how these speculative trends are going. This too, topped out in early October. Haven't done much. We haven't gotten absolutely schwacked, taken back to the woodshed. But it's been a tough tape. Certainly been a tough tape. Beta Technologies. Now this is a electric aircraft manufacturer. They're starting with conventional vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, these CTOLs. They will eventually move into eVTOLs, but they IPO'd at the beginning of the month. And this stock, I think, has got to be one to watch. If we break above this IPO little base that we're building, I've been trading long enough to know these IPO-based breakouts can be explosive. So one to add to the watch list. If you've never traded an IPO, I don't suggest you do so with Beta. I think maybe just watch it. Just see what it does. Also, look at previous IPO-based breakouts. I think one that comes to mind, now the stock has been getting rocked, but one that comes to mind was GoPro. GoPro had an absolutely gnarly IPO back in 2014, I want to say. These are the types of things we're looking at. And the sheer fact that Beta is in this advanced mobility space, and we've talked about autonomy, we've talked about flying cars, they are playing in that field. This has got to be something to watch. If we start seeing an upticks in drone stocks, in eVTOL stocks, advanced mobility stocks in general, we got to keep an eye on Beta. Speaking of flying cars, it's been a mess there too. We're in a hot mess of a market, but we're still above that critical IPO initial offering price, right? $10 for these SPAC listings. Back in 21, we're above that price on the composite. Obviously, Joby's outperforming Archer. As a whole, as a group, this is healthy, right? Obviously, we want stocks to go up every single day. We want them to go up infinitely every single day. But that's not the reality of the situation. You got to let them dance. XPeng is up next. I jumped the slide there, but XPeng is up next. And talk about a gnarly breakout here. The catalyst for this breakout had to do with this company's robots. So they unveiled a humanoid, and everybody on the internet thought it was fake. They're calling fake news, saying this isn't real. There's no way this is a robot. There has to be a human inside. Well, the company had a press event, and they actually unzipped the suit behind this female humanoid. And it's real. It's all metal inside of there. And the stock rewarded those folks who believed it was true. Nice breakout here in the XPeng. This is, we got to keep an eye on this. We got to keep an eye on this. I didn't bring any other China charts, but China seems to be putting in a nice little base. And given the political nonsense that's occurring, we don't want to miss China because we're focused on something else. XPeng could be a leader for that next leg higher. And last but not least, you guys, I know we talk a lot about innovation, talk a lot about flying cars, nuclear energy, but I got to give a huge shout out to the guys over at the Gold Rush. Jason and Sam have been crushing it over there. If you're following markets, gold and silver just seem to be at a relentless bid. They got bid up crazy today. And I got to give these guys a shout out. Like I said, earlier this week on Monday, they said, here we go again. The lull is over. Gold and silver just made their moves. And they dropped a couple charts, right? Here's the gold futures chart. We're above the all-time high anchored VWAP in gold and in silver. If you're an asset allocator, you got to keep your eye on other areas of the market outside of just innovation. I'm saying that not just to you guys, but to myself, right? I'm trying to pound this in my skull. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you do me a huge favor, maybe throw some comments in the YouTube, give us some likes. Shoot, maybe even tell a friend about this or send a link to a friend. I don't know. We want to grow this Godspeed thing, have big plans ahead. I'd love to do some in-person events. If you guys have any ideas of what you want to see in the future, please let me know. I'll be back next week. Thanks, y'all.